Another dream about him. bad side and they'll destroy you.
No one would miss me.
That's not true. I would.
Okay, boys and girls, it is time.
Hello.
Like, oh, it's not showing up. What's going on? We're good. Here we are. We made it. We're here. Is it showing up okay? Yeah. Yeah, Rocco.
I can't see.
I think we're good. I'm pretty sure we're
All right.
good. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the little Pixelist stream. Thanks for tuning in today as we chat with you all about really whatever's top of mind in that nerd world. Worlds Beyond, Critical Role, D&D, and everything in between. You might be able to hear my son screaming in the background. He is okay. So, nice little coffee cup today, huh?
Yeah, just keeping it classy today.
I can dig it.
Yeah.
How are you today,
Yeah.
my friend?
Good. I'm a little tired today. Couldn't get any sleep last night for some reason, so
Gotcha.
hence the coffee. But how about you?
I'm doing okay too. It's Friday. I don't really get as excited on Fridays anymore as I used to. Like when I was a kid.
Yeah.
You know, as a kid, it was like, it's Friday. I get to game all weekend.
Right.
And nowadays it's like, I'm always just thinking about Monday when Friday rolls around and like all the stuff I got to do.
Yeah, honestly, same. I still just have Friday just still has some prestige, just I think from being younger. So like even though I still work on the weekends, so it's not like
Yeah, same here.
it's not like weekends here, but I still get excited for Fridays. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I feel you.
What a dystopian opener too.
Well, thanks for tuning in, y'all.
Yeah, our Pixelbits discussion. So let me turn this all the way down. Boom. Okay. Well, what's in the news today? Let's see. I think you saw we shared about Activision Blizzard with 1,900 layoffs, almost 10% of their workforce. I think the actual number was like around 8%. And including the CEO stepping down and one of the last remaining co-founders of the business, the OG.
Is that the same person?
No, two different people.
Okay.
But both of those people moving on. So yeah, it's not to like beat a dead horse, but just more. What a bummer! This company that we grew up adoring.
Yeah, and I've seen not that I know any of these people personally, but from when I used to stream a lot, I made a lot of friends in the Hearthstone community. So like my Twitter feed is just full of all these people that like have lost their jobs or so unfortunate, man.
Yeah, and I heard that some people like didn't know they had lost their job until like they were like going to their job. And I was like, "Oh, you don't have a job anymore." And I was like, "Oh, thanks for telling me."
Yeah, yikes, man.
Yeah. So anyway,
but
yeah. Hey, what's up with this Pal World game? Have you heard of this game?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I haven't played it, but I've seen a bunch about it. I kind of want to try it out.
I told myself I wasn't going to play it because I couldn't afford it, but then I realized my Steam balance has $27 in it, and it costs $29.
Well, that's a really nice kind of surprise, a nice little.
It's a really good sign.
Happy coincidence right there.
I know.
But I don't know why I think this, so this might be completely wrong, but I feel like it's on Game Pass. Do you have Game Pass?
I do have Game Pass.
So worth checking before you pull the trigger on that purchase, because for some reason I think it's on there.
Bro, let's talk about the value of Game Pass and why Sony can't seem to do anything that competes with it on the PlayStation. I mean, it's crazy how much is on Game Pass.
It's because the PlayStation 1 doesn't have a PC variant, right?
It does not.
I think that's the big thing, honestly, because I don't have an Xbox, but I still have Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah.
Honestly, dude, this is stupid of me, but I haven't even played a game on Game Pass in probably 6 months, and I've paid for it the whole time. But like, that's how good of a value it is to me. It's like I just don't even want to bother to like cancel it and then restart it up, because like I've already gotten so much value out of it. So it's not like, yeah, I want to pay them money, but I enjoy it so much that I haven't taken that extra mile of canceling it when I'm not even using it.
I mean, that's like today's monetization, right? Like, get them on a subscription, you know? Sometimes I look at my bank account. I do a lot better like these days about it, but there's definitely been like phases of my life where I've looked at my bank account and been like, what is that? Like, what is that money? What is that being spent on? And it's like a subscription from like 4 years ago. And you're like Joy, my wife, she had a Squarespace subscription. And it was like the annual cost of it was like $115 or something. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But she hadn't used a Squarespace website in like 8 years. So I was like,
oh no,
how long have we been paying for this? So Philmatic said, hey there, sending love from Thailand, 2 a.m. How y'all doing? You even threw in the y'all as a...
I appreciate
I'm all about it. I'm doing okay. I think Will said he's doing okay. I hope you are doing okay.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, 2 a.m. in Thailand. I hope you get some good rest tonight. Man, now I'm just thinking about Thai food.
Me too. Delicious.
It really is. It really is.
But it's amazing over there too.
Oh yeah. It's kind of like when I was in Korea and I got some, which Korea's they're not known for sushi. But I got some sushi in Korea and it was hands down like easily the best sushi I've ever had. Oh, absolutely. So fresh.
Yeah. I like my bucket list is to go to, I can't remember what it's called. There's like a fancy word for it. But like go to Japan and where you like sit right in front of the chef and you like prepare, like it's a whole like experience.
Mm-hmm.
I've always wanted to do that.
Let's go, man.
Let's do it, bro.
You know, let's go.
Exodus meetup in Japan.
Did I lose the video on here? Oh no, we're back. We're good. Okay. Sorry.
Oh, Kevin, I saw your comment about the Kingdom Hearts remix, bro. I was jamming to that before we started. I was getting like a big nostalgia bomb. The music is so good in those games.
Yeah, there's been a couple of times like when we're winding down for bed with our kids and I'll put on Simple and Clean and we're just like, yeah. And then Joy's like, what is this? I'm like, it's from the greatest game.
You're teaching them young. I like that.
That's right. Oh yeah.
Getting them ingrained.
Yeah.
Oh, and Robert, I just saw your question about is Pokemon with guns? Yeah, pretty much. That's my understanding of Pal World.
That's what I've heard too, yeah. I haven't watched anything. I haven't seen any videos, any gameplay, literally nothing. Because I'm also at the point too where I'm like, if I am going to play this, I want to do it blind. Joy and I played Valheim blind, and it was like one of the most fun things we've ever done. Like I knew nothing about it. And we played a ton. Like Joy's not a gamer, but we played like every day. Back then I only had one kid, but every day my daughter went to sleep for her nap, Joy was like, are we going to play? I was like,
that's awesome.
This is what being a gamer's about. But then
it's my goal. I need to find that game for Ashley so I can get the hooks in her.
It was cool. Like she would like literally every day she was like, so are we gonna, and it'd be like 2 hours and she'd be like, and then she had like this, you know, we all been through this, right? She had like this life crisis of like, what am I doing with my life? I've spent 2 hours on this game. And I'm like, it's cool, baby. You know?
Yeah, you get immune to that feeling real quick.
Yeah. Now the existential dread is still there, but you know.
But we learn how to push that to the side.
That's right.
One of the main gamer skills.
Yeah. I will say that we finally we had done all we could on like whatever continent we were on Valheim, and then we found out we could build a boat, and so we like spent all this time like building the dock and like harvesting the wood and like making the dock look really good, and we built the boat, and then we were like, all right, we're going on the ocean, like what's gonna await us? Like we have no idea. And so we got like all this like storage and stuff, like chests on the boat, and like brought all this stuff, pretty much all of our stuff we took with us, and we were just like wide-eyed and bushy-tailed, like which this is like such classic like WoW, by the way, like the sense of discovery that's like such a drug. Yeah, we like sailed out, we finally found another continent, we get out and these goblins run up, which I like had a sword, so I was like, oh, I bet they're not too tough to fight. One shot me, killed me instantly, killed Joy instantly, went over and smashed the boat, and everything sank to the bottom. And then we respawned back at our original continent with none of our stuff and no boat, and we were just like, oh no, okay, I guess we're done playing this game. So we never played it again.
Oh no.
But it was super fun for a long time, and the first time we fought a troll, just like one of the enemies, Joy literally had a panic attack. I mean, it was fun. It was great.
I could see that.
So
yeah, that was a good game. I only played it like once, but it was like a 6-hour session with like a couple guys from our WoW guild back in the day. But it was good. I think I've only seen a little bit of Pal World. I think it has some of those types of elements. Like you shoot your Pokemon and then catch them, and then like you build a base and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, it's getting a lot of hype, and maybe some legal troubles as well, I'm hearing.
Oh, really?
from Pokemon, from Nintendo.
Yeah. Well,
been some rumors about maybe like kind of not like literally just cut and pasted reused assets, but like used those assets, tweaked them kind of a little bit. Yeah. And then, this is our Pokemon.
What's the Pokemon developer's name?
Niantic?
No, Niantic's the Pokemon
Game
Go.
Freak?
Game Freak. Yeah. I mean, for how little Game Freak does to like iterate the Pokemon industry. Yeah. I mean, True. More power to the Pal World devs for, I mean, obviously I'm not saying you should steal other people's assets, but like sometimes like I think people like they take a spin on something to make it really fun, and then like the other developer, they like really try to squash that instead of realizing like, no, people really like that. It's kind of like in a kind of a weird way, it's kind of like Baldur's Gate, where it's like we're gonna have no microtransactions, no cosmetics for sale. It's gonna be like a full game, and it ends up doing really well. And it's like, hey, see this thing that people don't do? Like, maybe you should try it. Hey, game developers, maybe, try not to crazy monetize your games. So
there's a thought.
Speaking of that, and a game not doing well, Diablo 4, which just had their season 3 released Tuesday this week, with I haven't played it, but pretty extreme negativity about it and the game as a whole.
Is the base release season 1, or was there base, then season 1, then season 2? Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
I haven't. I logged out one day before season 1 started, and I haven't logged back in.
Season 2 was really good, but
what's like the mechanic in season 3, or like what did they add?
You have like a pet that follows you around, and the gameplay loop is basically like acquiring upgrades for that pet to do more stuff. But the pet
is there any new like actual content, like zones, or
they call them
bosses
vaults
or anything?
They call them vaults, but they're just reskin dungeons. This is my other gripe, and I think Path of Exile probably falls into this, but I think they do a better job like branding wise on this. But I think some companies are just so into reused assets, and like, how do we really squeeze out this sponge of development? So they're basically dungeons, but dungeons with traps is how people have described them. But yeah, I mean, it's disappointing. It's another strike against Blizzard, I guess, unfortunately. But how the mighty have fallen.
True. Very true.
Have you listened to Worlds Beyond?
Excuse me. I don't know if that came through or not. I've started it. I have not finished it yet.
Same.
But I don't know. You know, I guess it'll depend on what the situation is when we sit down to record that. But hopefully we have time to talk a little bit about 19 as well.
Yes,
since we
I'm very
didn't get
mad.
a chance to.
Yes, I'm very mad I wasn't able to talk with you about that because that one was crazy good.
Yeah, and so like, not that we should just talk about it right now, but I kind of want to talk about it a little bit in case we don't get to. But like, man, the way that painting and everything was just so cool. The way Brennan described it, and I guess some people in here might not be watching Worlds, so we won't spoil anything. But just such a cool encounter, and just the party dynamics. Like I still think there could be some repercussions from kind of how that was all handled.
I really wanted Ursulon to push the button, for lack of a better way to put it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we got a lot to talk about for our next Worlds Beyond episode, which if you guys aren't watching Worlds Beyond or listening to Worlds Beyond, it's an audio-only D&D podcast, and it's a campaign with Erika Ishii, Brennan Lee Mulligan, Lou, what's his last name?
Wilson.
Lou Wilson. Yep. And I'm like blanking today. Abria. Thank you. Abria Iyengar. And Brennan's the DM, and it's just an incredible. It's really, really good. Food and Kami. Oh man, Worlds is so fun. Just finished chapter 1. Yeah, good for you. It's really good. And chapter 2 has been really good, or season 2, or however they're referencing it. So,
yeah.
Speaking of, I have a poll up. It merely reads Ursulon, Ame, or Suvi. So,
what is the context? You must guess.
Yes. It's very Game Changer Shorts esque, by the way. What's that game? It's on the channel, but I can't think of the host. You know what I'm talking about? The
one where Matt had the segment.
No, I'm not talking about that specifically, but
that game, I mean. Or
yeah. No? Well,
yeah.
Not the one that Matt did, where it wasn't the actually bit. It's the one, the guy with the beard who I think runs.
Sam Reich.
Yep.
Just the normal game. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's what made me think
Those
of.
are so funny. I think that's just I think that's called Game Changer.
Yeah, I think
that's the name of that specific show.
And I'm thinking Game Changer Shorts because that's the YouTube
bit
that pops up. We got there, you know.
We did it.
Yeah, talking about Sam Reich. Just occurred to me that the entire Worlds Beyond crew is in D20's Misfits and Magics. You guys should cover that. I've heard really good things about that. Isn't Abria the DM for that? Or am I?
Is that a Dimension 20 campaign?
Yes, it is. I think, right? I'm pretty sure. And then Film Addict asks regarding campaign 3. This is a spoiler for anyone who hasn't somewhat caught up in the last few episodes. But do you guys think that the Bells Hells team will actually be able to make it out alive from the moon?
I hope so. Yes. I mean, I think so. I mean, I don't know if you're like specifically asking like, do I think a TPK is going to happen, or if there's like another context to that question.
Yeah, I guess there's two. Yeah, I think there's two different ways you can interpret it. Will there be a TPK, or story wise, you know, where does this go? Like, who makes it out alive? So,
have you finished the most recent one? Okay.
Mm-mm.
I don't think there's gonna. I mean, who knows, right? There could be a TPK. That's not something that's going to be like planned, you know.
There won't.
So
be
that's
a
always
TPK.
on the table.
There won't.
Yeah,
be a TPK.
I mean, I don't think there will be
There's
either.
No way.
The like, the kind of like chaos demon in me kind of wants there to be like, not necessarily in this moment in campaign 3, but like over the entire course of Critical Role, I would like to see that at some point, just to see like what would happen, like how that's handled, like what does the story do from there. But I don't realistically see that happening, hopefully.
Yeah.
Here.
I'd like to see it as like the start of a campaign. Like, here's our characters, and you kind of love them a little bit, kind of like Bertrand Bell, and then like episode 10, boom, cataclysmic. Like they get wiped out, and then you meet like their real characters or something.
Okay, so like in a planned kind of way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like, and I was trying to think about this, like, how would this make sense? Like, you could do it just like kind of like that, or it could be, like, hey, we're gonna do, coming in 2 months, we have a Mighty Nine reunion again, or Vox Machina, and it's like a one shot, but it ends with a TPK, and it introduces like the storyline that is campaign 4 or something.
Oh man,
like something like that, I think would be kind of cool.
That would be crazy. That like, just if it was, an established party like that. But
like
I do think that concept would be really cool. I actually saw, I think it was, on one of the social medias, just this guy that was talking about his 30-year campaign that he was running.
Yeah.
And he had to, like,
by the way, I have to think that like you've used every trope at that point, right?
Right.
Like every NPC your party meets, like they're like, yeah, he's the bad guy. Oh yeah. I mean, they just have to know after 30 years.
So I mean, like, this is just one. Actually, I've seen a few pieces of content from this person now. Like, they're like shorts, right? So 60 seconds or less. So not too much information is being shared. But 30-year campaign, and they've been level 20. So like the thing he was kind of talking about is like, how do you still like introduce interesting things when the players are so powerful? And he was talking about like they were kind of headed toward like this world eater, like BBEG was coming to like destroy the universe type of thing.
Yeah. And
before the session, he wrote, I think 2 letters. They play remotely, but he wrote 2 letters and like sent them to each of his players. And one was like, if you succeed, and one was if you fail, like in this final big fight. And they actually failed. And he said like it kind of reinvigorated the campaign. Because what he did was like in those letters described that like this universe eater, because they failed, like ate their planet, their universe, their world, right? But inside of this creature that like got turned, like there's a whole new universe inside of this creature because of everything like it ate. And so all the players are now level 1 characters. And like this campaign is about like seeing if they could maybe get back to their original level 20 characters, and like all their memories had been wiped, but like the campaign was going to be about like, can they piece back together who they used to be?
I don't know why it gives me such vibes of the final season of Lost. Like,
yeah, I mean, it kind of does, like the sideways universe or whatever. Yeah, very much like that. So not that that's exactly the same about what we're talking about, but like kind of like starting a story with a TPK in a way. I just thought that was a really cool idea.
I love that stuff. Anything that, and honestly, I need to find that video too, because it's so intriguing. How do you make progression feel meaningful for your players, especially once you get to level 20? I mean, you've reached the peak. You probably have any number of amazing magical items, wondrous items that you are attuned to. So how do you make loot interesting? How do you make encounters interesting? There are 2 Tarrasques now. Like, oh my, wait, what? Like, and I've seen some people do kind of like a like their own homebrew, like level 20 plus, like not necessarily like level 21 or level 22, but like almost kind of like a hero track, if that kind of makes sense. Like, here's some ways that your character can continue to develop. But I will say, and I think we've talked about this before maybe, but like I do think it's important in being a great DM is thinking about progression for your party in terms of keeping people engaged at the table. Because I know that sometimes the temptation is to have like a really slow burn into like an amazing buildup kind of, it's a very like Matt Mercer perspective, honestly, just a lot of like story threads that kind of finally culminate into something. But you have to remember that Matt Mercer, that they play every week, and they play for 4 to 5 hours, right? Almost every week, right? But I have a campaign where we play once a month for 3 hours. So that means I have 12 sessions in a year to make this as meaningful as possible. So like my timeline has to be, in terms of like story notes and level progression, it all has to be very different from what we see like on D&D media. So
right.
I don't know if you have anything to add on to that, but
no, just totally. Like that was one of the big in our campaign. That was my kind of big misfire, because it was the first time we were ever playing, and of course I was heavily inspired by Critical Role.
Mm-hmm.
So I had I still add to my world building document. Not even that I'll like use it in a D&D campaign necessarily, but it's just been fun to kind of like build on that. So like I have all of these like very long overarching story threads that I had planned, because I was again operating in the same mindset of like playing every week for 4 hours, but that obviously wasn't the case. So like do it over, I would try to be more like you are with like, okay, we got to realize that, we might only play 6 times this year. So like, how do I shorten this to make those reveals and stuff more interesting and captivating?
Yeah. And I think about what was tough for your campaign, though, is you also had people at the table who had very different expectations around what they wanted the D&D game to be. And if for you all who are listening, whether you play in a table or you DM yourself, I think one of the first starting points is really, and I don't know if you gave me this advice or where I got it from, but I think whenever I was first DMing, I'm just laughing at Jeffrey Miller's pop. This is a random comment I just read, but you might have been the one to give me this advice. I don't remember who did, but it was basically like, hey, you should ask your people I think it was you, what kind of game do they want? Do they want high fantasy? Do they want political intrigue? Do they want, and I very literally, I don't know if I did this for my first campaign, but for the second campaign, I did an actual survey where like, get on SurveyMonkey, like here are the options, click through, yada, yada, to like really get as detailed as possible in terms of what my players want. Cause I think the challenge for our game with you as the DM was you had the guy who loved his friends, but really didn't seem that interested in D&D. Right. You had like the diehard D&D person. You had someone who was diehard D&D, but really liked the old school style of D&D, which is very much like DM versus player and a little less story narrative driven and kind of more combat driven.
Very mechanics.
Exactly. And these are all very different flecks of what D&D can be, which then on you as the DM, which I had an amazing time. I loved playing with you, but it does create a very real challenge for a DM. Yeah,
for sure. So yeah, I think the more intense the survey, the better. If your players are going to be willing to like, take it seriously, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. Futan Kami, I haven't played D&D much, but I do like in a talkback episode about C1, the party was higher level than the party's opponents were. More strategic, and an enemy that knows how to target healers is scary. Yes, there's a really great, we've talked about this on the show before, but there's no shortage of like amazing D&D content out there. There's a really great resource called The Monsters Know What They're Doing, and the author of that has also gone on to do very specific monster profiles of like, here's how like a mind flayer thinks and operates, and in combat what they do. And I always try to tell my players that as well, in terms of like the monsters know what they're doing, just because it's funny how sometimes we like try to be so clever and strategic, but then we expect the enemy like what, he's attacking me again, even though I'm on the front line with everyone else like 50 yards behind me, So anyway.
Yeah, I think that's definitely, as long as your players are, not going to be the type to get like very upset at that, I think that definitely makes the game more fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I discovered some new music a couple days ago that I'm going to use in my campaign. I've been like jamming to it pretty hard the last couple days now. And
like some atmospheric type stuff?
Yeah. Which I didn't know this was a thing, was music or no music. For D&D sessions. There is a tribe of people. Oh man, sorry, Kevin, I'm going to get to what you just said in a second. There's a tribe of people who are very much, it's kind of like the No Beans group when it comes to chili. You know these people?
I've heard of these people.
Yeah, this is a thing. Like
I don't trust them.
I went to a chili cook-off and I was like bringing in my pot and like a competitor. This is like a casual chili cook-off thing, right?
Yeah.
Which then even from there, you're kind of like, okay, guy, I mean, come on. So I'm carrying in my pot and he's carrying his pot. And he's like, you got beans in there? And I was like, yeah. He's like, it's not chili. I was like, all right, I guess I'll go get in my car and go home.
Yeah, what I need to know the history behind this.
I'll have you know, I won that chili
assertion.
cook-off.
Ooh,
Which, you know,
rub it in his face afterwards.
I didn't. I wanted to.
They
Though.
added beans, bro.
Yeah, you're missing the beans. But there is a group of people who are very no music in D&D sessions. Don't do music.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Worlds Beyond is technically one of those because of the way they produce it. I don't know if that's like
True.
That's probably more of like a production choice
Mm.
so that Taylor Moore can do the sound design afterwards. But yeah, that blows my mind. Feels like it adds so much.
Mm-hmm.
Me. But I mean, I don't know. I guess I don't want to make generalizations, but I would imagine the people that are team no music are more team like mechanic D&D. Like, but who knows?
Well, you got to do it the right way. I mean, I'm very like anal about the music that I play, but there have been times where like I get to the end of a playlist and Spotify like immediately jumps to like a different recommended song.
Like top 40s.
Yeah, and you're
Pop
like,
hits or something.
oh, okay, I know this play is dying, but let me fix this real quick.
Yeah.
So I think if you don't curate it, it could be clunky for your players. But
yeah, totally agreed. If you're just like putting on a playlist to have music going while you're playing, then then that wouldn't be what I'm talking about either. But like the atmospheric rainy thunderstorm, if like that's happening in the game, like that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
or like a crackling fire. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, stuff
like
like
the tavern noise, like the
Yeah.
background. Yeah,
Mine's always the Hearthstone like opening.
hey, that's a good one.
Yeah. But no, this guy's name is Jeremy Chontau. I think I'm saying his last name right. He does really amazing atmospheric music. I found him because I was watching a YouTube, just like a meme channel, like a comedy channel, and he used this atmospheric music for like a serious bit he was doing, and I was like, ooh, I need to find that. So this is what all I went through because I couldn't figure out who this music was, because the guy who produced it is like this tiny person. I'm making it sound like he's a loser. He's not. He's amazing, but a small following, like, you know, small beginnings.
Yeah,
all I mean. But I did Shazam, didn't work. I did some other tools, didn't work. Finally found an AI tool that would take out the vocals and leave just the atmospheric. And then I threw that back into the Shazam tool to figure out what the heck the song was. But
And that worked.
it did. But yeah, the composer is Jeremy Chontau. And for anybody listening who's looking for some really good D&D atmospheric music. But I've had players at my table, which I do playlists like all according to moods, like pensive. Like I have a playlist called Thoughtful and Pensive, like for like really heavy conversations, combat music, etc. But I've had like music notes that hit at just the right time, coincidentally. And in both my campaigns, I've had people be like, dude, the music. And you just, you know, you play it off like you intended it to be like that.
Yeah.
But, you know,
That's the best.
yeah. So Kevin said, a truly evil DM will counterspell your healing and silvery barbs your successful saving throws. I did have an opponent who counterspelled the same person 3 times, and she was extremely mad about it.
Ooh.
And they're coming into encounter now with a caster who's going to use silvery barbs too. So
Uh-oh.
I'm kind of nervous about it just because she gets really frustrated with me.
Uh-oh.
So
That'll be fun.
Film Addict, I'm a no music DM. I only use music in combat stuff, mostly because I DM for teenagers and they'll take over the speaker and just play something, play a song while I narrate how the NPC is dying. Yeah.
That's understandable.
Yeah, for sure. Kevin said, I'm convinced my D&D group is responsible for 75% of the views of jazz versions of Super Nintendo JRPG songs.
That sounds like right up my alley.
Yeah.
Need to check that out. I love like lo-fi game remixes, but I haven't ever checked out the jazz versions.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, one last thing to mention, speaking of Super Nintendo and JRPG, the final game of GDQ was, which is a PlayStation game, but Final Fantasy V. Or was it PlayStation? I think it was. Did you watch it?
I watched a lot of it. I think it was like 3 hours. So not like start to finish. But yeah, I did watch a lot of it. I think you and I were talking around when he was running into a lot of issues and they had to like heavily pivot. But that stuff's all honestly kind of always cool to me in speedruns, is seeing how those things happen on the fly.
And it was a good GDQ. It was a good GDQ. I didn't get to watch too much of it, but I did enjoy it. It wasn't the first live one in a while, but the one before this wasn't, or I shouldn't say live, in person. So it was nice to be back to in person. And a lot of like the production staff were talking about how like it was like one of the best ones in a long time. Like everything was smooth, and so yeah, it was a good time. I'm already looking forward to the next one. Unfortunately, it's a ways away, but did you get a shirt?
I didn't. Did you?
I did, and I couldn't legitimize it. Which I always feel so like mad, like ashamed of myself, because I'm like, oh, I really want to support it and I want to get that shirt, but then I just couldn't do it this year or this time. But anyway,
I feel that. I'm hoping one day it would be cool to just like have enough disposable income to like drop a huge donation. That's on my bucket
I think
list.
It'd be cool to like buy a bunch of shirts and like give them out, for example, because I've been like at like a Walmart checkout and the cashier has been like, dude, that shirt's awesome, and I'm like, oh, it's GDQ, like,
oh, that's cool.
So anyway, all right, well, I think we are out of time today. Coming down the pike, we got Worlds Beyond, little CR, and we'll be back next Friday to chat about more nerd stuff. If you have any questions or comments, you can drop them in the Discord in the Pixelbits live stream channel. Other than that, anything else you want to add, my friend?
I think I've said this the past few times, but it's probably going to start sounding disingenuous, but we do want to get back to the Sunday watch parties. We haven't had one of those basically since the Christmas movies.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up. I was thinking about hosting one this Sunday if you're up for it. I don't know if we had anything planned, but I was looking at a couple of one shots and was thinking maybe the Song of Lorelei might be a good one.
Oh, yeah, let's do it, man.
Okay.
I didn't have anything planned. I just wanted to get back to it because I missed doing that with y'all.
Yeah. One last D&D question. Film Addict asked, are you guys in favor of digital dice rolls on your table? I have a few dice sets, but players prefer digital ones, and honestly, they've rolled horribly ever since. I think whatever your party wants to do. I personally like physical, but I have some people at my table who use digital. So,
yeah, same here. I prefer physical. I just like that it's more fun to me, like to have that like kind of visceral like reaction. But I'd just say whatever your players want to do, let them do.
I will say my wife's always been digital, and then I gifted her a dice set, and she's always used that ever since. Then again, it's on my desk, so I can't, it feels like she's giving it back to me.
I'm done with this.
So anyway, all right. Well, we love you all. We'll catch you later. See ya. Adios.
Bye, y'all. Thanks for hanging out with us.